This is John J.R. Robinson. I'd like to welcome all you funky people to Your Break It Down show. I'd like to congratulate Your Break It Down show for reaching 1,000 episodes. Unbelievable. Fantastic. Congrats, guys. I need each and every one of you to support my new charity, handsfordrummers.org. I'd like to bring to the show a new talent who is unbelievably gifted, talented, and gorgeous. Everybody, Celeste Butler.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The
This
Offspring.
is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl Ames.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summit.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Okay, this is your girl Celeste Butler, and you are tuned into the Break It Down show.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
That's right. Celeste Butler is a powerhouse in arts and entertainment. She grew up singing in the Pentecostal church, or as some people would say, she grew up in the Pentecostal church, because everybody knows if you're there, you're singing. She was promised by her parents that she could endeavor to try out the music business, but she had to wait until she turned 16. So what did she do? She booked an audition for her 16th birthday that she subsequently landed. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because I know that's a cause that's near and dear to your heart, and we want to plug them. But very quickly, she went on to become the very first independent study student at El Camino High School to go to college. And where did she go to college? To USC, where she earned a bachelor's in popular music performance, voice, with a minor in music industry. That's a big, big deal, because she was one of only 5 vocalists chosen that year for that program. She went on to earn an MFA in arts leadership. Since then, she's worked with artists like Chaka Khan, Esperanza Spalding, and she continues to work not only in music with the beautiful voice that she has cultivated, but in arts, in culture, in humanities in general. I just got done telling Celeste that I'm a new fan, but I'm a huge fan. We're so happy that you joined us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor and a pleasure. I was raving about you all, just kind of talking about the diversity of the lineup that you all have. So I'm truly, truly honored to be a part of the Break It Down show. So thank you for having me.
And if you missed it early on, we've got John Robinson, JR, the most recorded drummer in the world, and we got to you through him. He mentioned you, and I said, that's it. I got to get a hold of Celeste. And then, surprise, we got John coming. He's working on his headphone situation right now, but so fantastic. Thank you for sitting with us. When you hear your resume, and you're so young still, you know, I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks. John's a little older than I am, like by 5 minutes. When you hear that, are you like, holy shit, look what I've done? Who is this person?
No, honestly, I'm just like, honestly, it just was like a testimony. JR's back.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can we?
All right, beautiful. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Quite okay.
So
Your mic is smoking hot, by the way.
Mine is?
Yeah.
Well, what does that say? I didn't know I was in a recording session here. All right, so hold on.
Give the drummer some.
Hey, you guys, this is a whole different format. So
yeah.
Can I turn it down here? Cam mic.
There you go. Yeah.
Audio. Says default.
Okay.
Stereo echo cancellation.
I don't know.
How's that? Is that better?
That's better.
That's a little better. Yeah.
Adjust. Golly, it's at halfway.
Now you sound better? Good. Now you sound
yeah, you sound good.
Look at me go. Okay. Now, all right. Sorry about that interruption.
This is the best thing about live is like that stuff is just, it's fantastic. It's what we do.
It's organic.
Truly.
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like such a huge testimony, just because, like you said, I mean, I really didn't start pursuing music professionally until I was 16. And so just within that time frame, you know, God really has just shown up and shown out in every way. Like, he's just shown favor and opened doors and just connected me with the right people who really support and have poured into me. And so I'm just like, okay, you know, I'm excited. If that's what the beginning looks like, you know, I'm excited to see what's still in store.
Well, you've got a beautiful start to this journey.
It And literally with like mentors like you in the corner, I mean, it's just a blessing, really. Like, I feel like so much of my journey, it just has to point back to Christ and what he's done. And, you know, I grew up in church. Both of my grandfathers were bishops in the church. And so I think I just have like generations of just prayers over my life. And I feel like that truly shows.
Right. Well, definitely. I mean, you have such an aura about you that's, you know, I mean, you know, once I got involved in that, in our project, you know, from this past year, it was like I heard how you delivered this song, and by the way, the other songs weren't even close.
No.
And I'm saying that in real time. So no, they weren't even close. So
well, I appreciate it. Honestly, when they had told me, because you know, you just be surprising me at every instance, because I didn't know even that you were a possibility for the song initially. You know, there was a specific lineup and incredible producers and incredible people. And then he emailed me like, you know, I just got to let you know, we got someone very special for this song. And I was just mind blown. I was like, how? And just for it to come full circle too, with the connection with Shaka Khan. I mean, it was just, I was just like, okay, again, God, I have no idea how you did that, but thank you.
Well, you know, things come together for a reason.
Yes.
Well, tell us how that came together, John.
Well, I got a call. I mean, my good old buddy from my old cymbal company, Zildjian. I'm a Paiste artist now. James McGathy got me involved with Jason Wall, and they wanted me to become a celebrity judge for this just great. You know, I mean, it was the whole concept about it came at a time when we're all struggling, you know, and it was called Think Peace. And they go, well, you want to judge? They didn't have an idea of how many songs I was going to judge. And I go, well, don't overwhelm me with stuff. They go, how about 20 to 25 songs? I go, oh, shoot, that's a lot of songs. So we got it down to 20. And I went through it, and I do what I do, and I listen. And, I approached it somewhat similarly to if I am going to play drums on the song, not yet actually produce the song, because that was offered later. And so, I mean, I'm listening. I go, first of all, is the song good? And yes, check. Is the representation genuine from the artist, from Celeste? And check, yes. So, okay, cool. So I go, man, I really like this song. And there was, one other one that was kind of cool, but you could see the noviceness, if I must say, in a lot of these songwriters. Whereas Celeste, you rose up higher above this stuff, because I think, you've been doing it a while, and even though you're still a young one, and but you have this somehow just this beautiful God-given gift that showed. And so when then it came to, they both asked me, would you be interested in producing one of these 5 songs? And I go, yeah, one only. And that was Bullets. So that's how it came about.
And I didn't even know the backstory to that either. So thank you for sharing that.
You are welcome.
Sharing that. No, and it's interesting too, because like you said, that competition kind of came at such a specific point in time, where even just in the conversations I was having with other artists, it was so hard because we feel things so deeply, and at a time in which at every avenue there's something that just feels broken, and you're trying to help figure out how to put those pieces back together with the gifts and talents that you have. It was just so amazing that they had that platform and that opportunity for us to use our voices in that way. And then on top of that, to be able to have us partner with people who we looked up to and who we admired and we could learn and grow from. I was beyond, I was beyond happy.
Well, it's like I said, it's a beautiful start, and leave it to these two gentlemen for, getting us face to face and started. And, you never know, they may never let us go. It'll be like, hey, what are you guys doing next week? Can you come back on the show?
Right.
I want to, you are very, you're very careful to acknowledge that your gift is God-given, and the spirituality in what you do and what meaning that brings to you. But I also want to mention that you grew up in a very strict military family, where discipline and hard work And there's something about the gift, but there's also something about honoring the gift with the discipline and the hard work. And I think that's shown throughout your endeavors and from the beginning. When you worked together, a question for both of you: did your professional standards, how did you feel about working with each other when it came to your professional standards?
You go ahead if you want to start.
Well, I mean, I feel like for me, hearing that I'm going to get to work with JR, what professional standard? He is the professional standard. So I was like, absolutely yes. I think though too, because he wasn't really even in my radar of what I thought would be possible, because they kind of gave us an idea of who we'd be working with. There were specific names already attached to the competition. And so I was just happy with who they had already, because everyone was so incredible. And so when they had emailed me that, oh, we got somebody, I was so pleased. And I knew, because of the background in the sound, and the soundscape, and just what I'd already heard of JR and following the career and seeing all of the records that he's done, I knew that he would really be able to capture my idea and just catapult it. And so I was excited for that, and to hear how he was able to take it and just run with it.
And remember, it starts with a great song. So there was something there that I go, is this going to be, I hate to use this phrase, but now that I'm a seasoned veteran, we used to call it, if we were studio sausages, polishing a turd. So, hey, how you guys doing? Hey, it's Luke there. Nathan. All right, how you guys doing? Well, what are we doing today? Listen to this song. It's like, oh God. So what do you do? And so this was not that case. And I kind of, and again, it was like, I had struggled a little bit this year. I had broken my fibula, which these two gentlemen know. And I'm going, oh my God. And that's my money foot.
Right.
That's the foot that gets people on the dance floor. So I kept playing during a broken foot, and didn't help it much. So kind of that's all healed. And, thank God 2020's out. But look, this is a bright, shining star out of 2020. And I really, just from the bottom of my heart, look forward to anything and all your endeavors. And if I can help fit in any way, it would be great.
Oh yes, there's always, literally, however you want to help, I am here and available. So I will definitely follow up about that.
Did you lead that meeting, Celeste, by telling John about the importance of Ain't Nobody in your musical?
No, I don't think that he knew at all. Like, I don't think at all. I don't think that even.
No, fill me in, since I was obviously inept.
No, I don't even think that the people with Future Youth Records knew about that connection either, which is why I'm saying, like, truly, I believe that it was God behind the scenes, because nobody knew about the Shaka Khan connection. And so, okay, so it's like a long story, but I'm gonna just put it real briefly. Basically, growing up, I wasn't really allowed to listen to anything aside from gospel. And I remember distinctly the moment that I heard the first like funk pop song, and it was Ain't Nobody by Shaka Khan at a friend's birthday party. And I was just like, what is this? And why hasn't anyone told me about this? I was very.
How is that drummer so funky?
Right. I was like, hold on now. So I ended up falling in love with Shaka Khan and just started mimicking her and listening to her. And so then fast forward to me getting to USC, my first semester there, they had her come in as a masterclass instructor. Right. They selected some people to perform for her to get feedback, for her to come and sing with at the end and everything. And I was one of the vocalists selected. And so it was this full circle moment. And then fast forward, I'd submit the song for the competition, not knowing that you were going to be involved at all. And I don't think they knew the Shaka Khan connection at all, and ended up being put together in that way.
Wow, that's fantastic. So one lesson is it's Rufus and Shaka Khan. And the only reason why I say that is because when I joined in 1978, and I was the young kid, I joined at 23 and she was 25. It was Rufus, the five guys, and Shaka Khan. So there's a lot of you see her and you don't think about the other guys, but But in reality, on that song, it was just Hawk and myself on that song anyway. So, but you know that I almost ended up being the pop after Ndugu passed. God bless him. I almost took his position. I went down there. I taught for about 3 months. They were auditioning, and
I was there.
You probably were, and
that is so funny.
But I live out here, way out in Northwest Thousand Oaks, and for me to make that commute, I needed a urinal in my car.
Wait, that's actually so crazy though, because literally we were there at the same time, and we just didn't even know it.
That's a beautiful school, you know, and
yes.
You know, and Patrice is my dear friend, and
yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah. So funny. I'll have to text her and let her know. She's gonna be like, "Oh, JR." You know, that's how she would say it too.
Man, Paul, geez, he was a baby when I first started working with him. I think he was 19 or something.
So wild.
Cherie Brown. Do you know her?
I know, not personally.
I think she had gone to USC, and this is golly back in 1980, 81 or something like that. And, Cherie Brown. She's like a guitar player chick. Great artist.
Okay. Oh my
so,
gosh.
all right, I'm interrupting, and we're just having a chat. I mean, I have questions to ask her, but you guys, why don't you guys do your show?
Absolutely. Well, you know, all of these coincidence moments are what we love about this, about making these connections. So that's really kind of the point of it. And to bring this in and have this conversation take place on our show, we're very honored for that. Your musical endeavors are your voice is fantastic. You've cultivated such an amazing voice and musical identity, but really it's just one facet of your artistic personal movement. Tell us what you really want to accomplish.
That's such a great question. And I feel like I'm the type of person that really I see from like a bird's eye view. But for me, I think my biggest thing is like my personal mission of bringing joy, empowerment, inspiration, and just the light of Christ to whatever I'm doing. And I feel like the medium in which I choose to do that is through arts and entertainment, through advocacy, through entrepreneurship. And so while music is just one of those things, because I also, you know, obviously songwrite and produce and act and dance. And I have, you know, the entrepreneurship component where I'm really working with organizations in the communities to focus on youth empowerment and women's rights and different things. I think that music for me is the core, just because it is that soul tie. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you hear that beat, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a unification in that. Once you hear those melodies, there's something cerebral about it that we can't explain. And I think that is something that really breaks down barriers as like a starting point to maybe harder conversations. And growing up military, culture and identity was always a huge part of my surroundings and my environment, and my family being very well traveled. We never really, you know, they say we didn't see color, but you know, we saw color and we saw beauty in the difference, and we saw beauty in the uniqueness, and we saw the heart, you know what I'm saying? So I think that just seeing how all of these layers kind of feed into what I'm doing artistically, when you hear a song and you hear the message behind what I'm saying, I think that it just makes sense. You're like, okay, we get why she's saying this, or we get where her mind is with this, or where her spirit is with this. And it's really coming from a place of love and like hoping to spread the importance of shared understanding and just empathy. And I think that can be, you know, a good baseline for a lot of other things.
John, is that some of the truth that you heard in that recording?
Oh, definitely. And I'm just blown away of how together you are, Celeste, and you know, you're representing what a true artist should be, you know. And I mean, we see, you know, I'm now a seasoned veteran, and I was.
There's the understatement of the year.
Hey, shut up. Yeah, I know. Hey, by the way, today's my birthday.
Yes, happy birthday!
Happy
birthday!
And I wouldn't have wanted to share it with anybody else other than you guys. So there you go.
Right
but
on.
nevertheless,
we can't just like glaze over that. I got a happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy Happy birthday to you.
Shit, let's get Stevie on the
Happy
phone.
birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Then I'll get Greg.
One of the four of us has his phone number. So
I
That is
tried to
true.
clap in time, and then JR put his hands up, and I got the fuck out of the way because you don't clap when there's a badass drummer on your show.
Hey, listen, there's a show called Yellowstone. Start watching that. You can clap on 1 and 3.
All right.
Oh my god.
oh man.
No, I was just, saying that when you get more seasoned, you start to see both sides of this harder side of rock and roll, and I don't like it, and I remember when I first moved to town, and was being lured into the Hollywood scene, I chose not to go. I'm a Southwest Iowa boy. That's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I just I'm rural in nature. Even though my dad was a doctor and my mother listened to big band records, so I kind of learned to stay away from that, and that can alter a career to a whole mega point. So I really appreciate your solidity and your positive energy, even though I'm sure you have songs about broken hearts and things, which is important, but I'm very respectful.
Thank you so much. And I feel like I have to credit a lot of that to my parents. Not just the religious training, but also just the professional training. My dad, both of them are, I call them professional leaders, where they kind of prescribe to this idea though of like followship, like where to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower. And I feel like that's something that is just so unique and so special. So I do got to give them a shout out. I think that they're watching right now. So
Hi, parents. I can't wait to meet you.
That definitely speaks to musical collaboration, because we all know that it doesn't matter what you're trying to bring to the song if you're not listening to everybody else.
Right.
And I think that goes back to what you were saying before too about like a professional standard. I feel like, regardless of who the name was, I think that I always try to just take in their idea first, because, regardless of if someone is acclaimed or not, I think that if it's coming from the soul and it's coming from the heart and you hear something special in it, it could be there. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to go in with like, all right, let me look at the discography first and see what's there. It's like, okay, this is pure. This moment is happening right now. So let's see what we can create with it.
Right, exactly. And all ideas are good, by the way. All ideas are on the table. I mean, I'll get a call still to this day. They go, can you play like you did on Off the Wall? I want you to play like all these parts on this song. I go, well, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah, but so I'm going to let that one go. But I'm anxious to hear your new direction and what's going on and when can I help?
Now.
Aha!
Literally now. I feel like, it was interesting because I think with my time at USC, I was just experiencing a lot. And I think I was just growing so quickly. Because again, when you think back at it, starting really doing music professionally at 16, I ended up graduating high school early because I did do the independent study program. So by 17, I was going to LA. And so there was just this quickness, I guess. It was kind of like, okay, you said you wanted to do this. And of course, like I did like youth regional theater and I did different things to hone the craft as I was growing up. But for the first time, you're in the heart of LA, you're around these professors, Patrice and Ndugu, and you're in it. And so I think I was just trying to almost like play catch up with myself and figuring out, okay, there's all of these musical ideas and all these theories. And now I'm learning oral skills and I'm learning how to compose for an orchestra. And it's like, okay, all of this is happening, but like really, where do I stand in all of that? And so I feel like I'm just now coming to a really solidified place where I'm like, okay, while there's all these ideas and I can write in all these styles and I can do this, I don't think just because you have the skill and the talent that you necessarily need to go in that direction if
of course
it's not you know what I'm saying? So I feel like now I'm like in a really good place of like, all right, funk soul, like pop funk soul is really where I'm at, and I feel like that carries my message the best. And so literally when I say right now, I'm so serious. Like right now. Like when we get off of this, I will shoot you some ideas that I have, and hopefully really in 2021 kind of getting that stuff together and out is the plan.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's absolutely great, and I love that. And you know, I honest to God, I miss traditional R&B. I miss it, and it's somehow now been swept under the rug. You know,
right.
You know,
With the trap soul.
yeah. I get upset. You know. And,
I don't feel like though, Celeste, that you're somebody whose artistic vision is bound by tradition. What do you have to say about that?
That's very true. I think because at the end of the day, you know, it sounds so lofty, but like I really try to be like a vessel of the music and of the message. And so I think beyond like the genre, if it comes out, you know, with this rhythm or it comes out with this melody that may be specific to a specific genre, I feel like I just try to explore that anyways, because it's maybe the genre that best supports the message that needs to be out at that moment. And I think that that was also something that I had to toggle with, because it's like, you know, you're told for so long that there's these genres, there's these categories, where is it going to fit? And, you know, growing into the music industry, you're just listening to what you think is sound advice. You know, you don't know the difference, or you don't know which way to go. And so I think though now with so much crossover happening, that there is an open door for you to express yourself however you best see fit. And so I think that that's kind of, as opposed to being genre driven, I think I'm message driven, and however that message comes out, whatever genre that is, I try to like lead with that.
John, when you are working with an artist like Celeste, who is so grounded with her vision, how much do you, how do you balance piloting and co-piloting?
I think one thing that I've learned through the years is listen. And, you know, 50% of any educational aspect is listening. You know, whether I'm sitting out here listening to a 59 bebop record on vinyl in my, you know, my vinyl world is, and learning from it, or listening to a young artist with the full suggestions and what are they intending, and what are they doing, and am I stepping on something? And you know, and I can play a groove on something and literally obliterate the singer, and sonically, and that's not the key, you know. And I've always been under the premise that as a drummer, I mean, I'm a piano player also, and a guitar player, and a bass player, but as a drummer, your drums should never be heard; they should be felt. You know, even though we know that that's not totally true, but that's kind of my premise of that. You know, a quick story. We're doing Off the Wall. Off the Wall is on fire. It's like every rhythm section that Quincy assembles is on fire. I happen to be the common thread, thank God. So we get to a point where we're done with Rock With You. We're done with Don't Stop. We're done with what is it? Get on the Floor, blah, 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 working day and night. Then Tom Baylor writes a song called She's Out of My Life. And it's Michael's crying and they do the video, and everybody's believing this thing. And I busted my ass. I lobbied hard. Just let me put a suspended symbol on this, because I wanted the credit. You know, this is 79. I go, I want to play on everything. And Quincy and Tom and Bruce Swedien, God bless them, they go, we don't need anything that you can offer on this record. And I go, damn. I just want to play a suspended symbol like, she's out of my life. That's it. You know. But lesson learned, you know.
A selfless lesson out of a selfish mission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, easy for you to say.
So Celeste, you know, you're surrounding yourself with these characters like John who give you this wisdom. How do you take it all in?
I mean, honestly, I just try to stay very reflective in moving forward, because I think that I'm someone, I mean, as you all probably know, I'm someone that's so future focused, and I'm always looking to see, okay, Lord, like, where is it that you want me to go? How is it that you want me to affect people? And I'm just looking forward a lot of the times. But then when I surround myself with such wisdom and incredible mentors who really can pour into me in that way, I just feel like I'm reminded of the importance of like constant reflection and just really letting those nuggets kind of just marinate and like literally after this time, I mean, both of you, all of you have shared such wisdom, and I think just being able to have those as markers along the way makes all of the difference for me, especially because we're in such a fast-paced industry. Like having those kind of, I don't know, I guess I could call them roots. Like having the roots of people who are just reminding me of the things that are important, and just also like continuing to pour into me and encourage me is, I think, how I kind of try to stay in the now and like let God do his thing.
Excellent.
I know your family works with you. I know your dad helps you on the technical side. Your brother, I seem to remember your brother produced "Who's That Chick."
You went. Oh,
I did.
Wow. How did you find that song? That is not supposed to be there.
Celeste B.
I want to hear this one.
Yeah. Oh, it was. She did it in high school, and it was terrific.
I love that. Yes, literally.
Did they follow you into the business, or did you? Tell us how that happened. How did it become a family business?
I literally just tried to copy and do everything that my siblings were doing. My sister actually plays and produces and songwrites, and my brother does all of the above as well. He played like 5 different instruments in band growing up, and then he was rapping and doing all these different things. And so I'm the baby of the family. And so I was just like, okay, they're the coolest people in my life, so I'm going to try to do everything that they do. And so literally we would have like, I don't know if y'all remember there's a video game called Rock Band where it had the different instruments and you could play. And so we used to have the Rock Band mic hanging from the ceiling fan, and we were just figuring out how to like, do USB into our like desktop computer, and we were figuring out how to try to record and write. And they would write my stuff in the beginning, and we did one song when I was 10. I don't know what the significance of the number 10 is for me, but like so much was happening when I was 10 years old. But discovering Shaka Khan being one, Rufus and Shaka Khan.
Yeah, baby.
And they had me write my verse for that song, and that just kind of like spiraled into me just falling in love with songwriting. But yeah, I basically just copied everything that they did.
Who's that chick?
Bullets. Have you heard Bullets? This producer JR. Great job. No, we did. Who's that chick? I wrote it when I was 15. So basically when I knew that once I turned 16, my parents would allow me to pursue music professionally. So I was like, all right, 15 years old, this is the time for me to prepare myself for this takeover that's about to begin. And I wrote the song called Who's That Chick, where I'm literally rapping. Like it was like totally just Disney Channel star vibe. I shout out Miley Cyrus, and I was like, this is gonna be my Hannah Montana moment. So I don't know about anybody else, but we did a little music video, and we like shot part of it at the Boys and Girls Club, and then at the beach. I was living my dream.
That's it. It was great. It was age appropriate. It's nothing that you have to. I mean, so many things that people do nowadays, because when we were growing up, there were kind of rails that you didn't want to bump up against. Nowadays, everything's off, and people do things that they regret. And I feel like you have this piece of music that you made when your career, it was like a seed of your career, and you can look back on it and not have to regret it. When you look back artistically at all the things you've done, can you see a progression that you're happy with? Tell me how that influences how you look forward.
Yeah, I feel like most definitely. I think that, I don't know, it's interesting too, because again, since I'm so message based, I think when you look at my music and see the things that I've written and how it's kind of evolved, I think you can kind of see like how my mind has evolved too, because at 16 I was writing about high school and friends thinking I'm cool, and I was playing basketball, and like that was fun and cute. And as it progresses, as I'm taking classes in world studies or in entrepreneurship, or we're having bigger conversations, I think that you can see that reflected in my music as well. And so that's what I'm saying too, like going into 2021, I think 10 albums could be written about 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just so much that happens, so many conversations that were finally being had. You know what I'm saying? Like things that, you know, you could kind of gloss over before, but now are literally in the forefront on social media, on the
Right.
news, in magazines. I mean, it's everywhere. And so I think for me, a lot of it is kind of having conversations and just taking in the world around me. And I think you can kind of see where my mind is based on like where the music is going. And so sometimes even when I'm writing something, I'll write it and I really try to get out of my own way and like not judge it until I have it out. And when I read back on it, I'm like, whoa, like I didn't even know maybe that's what I was feeling about this. You know what I'm saying? And it just it shows in the song itself what I really feel. And so I'm interested to see what is coming even from my own self.
John, as someone who's been in the room with songwriters who are at the top of their game for the last couple of decades, what are you seeing in Celeste that feels right to you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think that's what attracts me to her is that I see I don't see any indecision. You know, I see forward progress, and it could be. It doesn't matter what style, what artistic direction, but if we just stick with music, stick with music, I see her basically the world is open, and she's right. 2020, you know, made the that one person who could never even open their mouth boisterous. So if you look at a true artist, uh, and 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 maybe because I'm sure that everything that's going to come out of you is going to be positive based, even though there could be some negativity, and with double entendre writing and that's kind of what you have to do. You got to get her like this, and then drive the stake into the heart, unfortunately, in a good way. And I see her like similarly to when we all broke in 19. Me, it was 78, but we all converged in 79. I mean, Rod Temperton, Jerry Hay, everybody was converging through Quincy, and this whole output all happened, and it just exploded. I mean, we had done the Rufus Shaka record called Master Jam, and it was a tough produce for Quincy because I saw him dealing with a young CK, and she was, a little bit more rock and roll in a lot of aspects. Let's just say it that way. And and I went right into Off the Wall. And then after I'd done that, I had a phone call from Diana Ross, and I'm like, "You got to be shitting me!" And she goes, "No, you're John Robinson, yeah. You're the drummer who played on Rock with You, right?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, I really need you on this song." So Abraham Sr. and myself went in and cut Missing You the following week. And it was a #1 record. And it was like, it was this huge magnetism. And that's what I see in Celeste now.
Wow.
So the bar is set low, Celeste.
Right. Wow. That is incredible. That is incredible.
Well,
you hear about the foundational stones. Like, that's amazing.
Well, I'm anxious. Obviously, everybody's kind of on holiday. We're all on holiday now, I guess. But, don't be afraid to, you got my private email and all that stuff. And even if you have a 4-bar idea, don't be able to, and you're singing on a little crappy mic, or you got this huge production, don't be afraid to send it to me. And I'll, if I like it, I'm gonna go in, full force.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm truly gonna take up on that. I
enjoy it. I absolutely enjoy it. I enjoy working with artists. I mean, I'm with David Foster, and I see, male and female, but especially female singers coming through that band, and all really, really good. But it's a tough road, man, that he's paved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep you away from him for a little bit.
You're gonna be the best kept secret over here.
No, this is out now. So
yeah. Celeste, I have a question for you. The offer from JR to say, send me a 4-bar idea. I mean, what that means. For folks who don't have any idea, go look at John's resume and you'll get an idea what he just is saying to you. when all of these things are laid before you, an opportunity to take chance of this, you're also a woman of deep faith. And you've read the book of Job. You know that God has something for you that's terrifying and challenging, that is going to push you way past what you think you can do now. Does that loom in the future for you? Because I just got done watching this fantastic Johnny Cash documentary, and they talk about his years where, you know, he had to totally change everything and not be a popular musician, you know, playing any kind of small venue. These things are possible for someone who's, you know, going to go down through a career. How does that coming, you know, here are the gifts that I've given you to get through this time. How do you think about that?
Right. It's so funny, just on a sidebar, because I really do think of those things often, just because, again, like, I am very future focused, and I just want to make sure that, like, you know, mind, body, soul is all in alignment so that I can be best used and maximize my potential. And I think that that's something that I've really thought about, even as a kid, though. Even as a kid, I remember, you know, in first grade, there's a time where I had, you know, the whole class lined up to jump off of this thing we weren't supposed to be jumping off of. And my teacher pulled me aside, Celeste, like, you just have a quality about you where people are going to follow you. So you have to carry yourself differently. Like, it's not fair. It's not something that you might have chosen, but, like, there's something about you people are going to follow. So I think just those seeds were planted at a very young age, aside from being, you know, raised in a very strict Christian household. So already they were like, no, look, the world is going to be looking at you, you know, like, you have to be a representation of Christ. And so, yeah, that's been something ever since I was a child. But I literally tell my friends, we were talking the other day, because they were like, yeah, we don't know if we want to really have kids. And I was like, but you have to have kids. So my kids, like, have someone in their tier that they can play with. And, like, I feel that the future is going to be something specific. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that there is such a calling. And for a long time, I think I was a little bit afraid of that, because as someone who really hopes for excellence in what I do, the idea that there could be something beyond me that I'm not really prepared for yet is a little bit daunting. And so I think the faith is something that I have to, like, lean back on, because it's like, okay, like, Lord, I know you're not going to ever put me in a situation that you aren't with me in. And so even if I don't feel like I'm ready, or I've never been in that situation, or I've never had that conversation, or I've never been swarmed by people before, I know that you'll be with me even in that instance, even if I in the flesh feel a little bit shaky, you know? Right. So that's a really interesting question, though, but I do think about that.
Well, you've had a lot of great influences and a lot of people giving you input and really good input. And I know you're influenced a lot by Shaka Khan, her music, her voice. And how rock and roll are you?
You're just gonna have to wait and see. That's gonna be a surprise.
Okay. That's like a flip side question.
Right.
Hey,
right.
Did I tell you that Rufus is looking for a new lead singer? Oh boy.
You heard it here first, folks.
Hey, I'll tell you, Rufus seemed to have been a pretty good stepping stone for some people.
Yeah, for a lot of people, actually. I mean,
yeah.
You know, so
small platform.
Paulette McWilliams. You know, I don't know if Celeste, you know Paulette, but, you know, she's one bad cat.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna let that be a reveal. I'm gonna let y'all hang on to that.
I see. Okay. All right. What kind of stuff are you writing now? Because we're in such a crazy year and all these events that have taken place this year. Like you said, there'll be a lot of albums written about this year. But, you know, with all that you want to get done, you have to be selective. So what are you choosing to write following this year?
I feel like I'm writing, I don't know, I guess out of a space of hope. And I think, you know, JR, you mentioned before that, I think a lot of my stuff does come from a mental space of positivity or optimism. But I think that it's in sometimes like the bleakest of moments that having those shining lights of songs are really helpful. And even if it is just something that's like a bit of escapism of, we've been in this darkness for so long, but literally a light is around the corner, I think is something that people will really be latching onto. And it's something that I talk about with my sister often too, where it's like, sometimes when you're so downtrodden and like just broken and you just feel so tired, you don't really want to listen to a song that's like also, you know, heartbroken and downtrodden and just torn up, you know? And so I think that having those moments of inspiration is really where I'm like focused right now. But then on the other end, I'm like writing for some other artists, and they're like on the complete other end of the spectrum, where they're like, in order to process these, these feelings, and I don't even want to say negative feelings, because I think each emotion has a, something that's beneficial there for you to learn. But just these emotions that are on the other end of the spectrum has been really helpful too, because it's kind of this duality of life, honestly. Like, even in the middle of something that's great, there's probably something, that's like an undercurrent of maybe, something that's dark, or even in the darkest of moments, there's still something that's there that's light. And so it's kind of just like looking at both of these sides while it's happening. And that's 2022, I feel like, because, each of the journeys and the experiences have been different, we're all in very different places, facing the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
What medium interests you that we probably wouldn't guess? Like, are you into, I don't know, clay sculpting, or what would surprise us about you?
Man, surprise you. Man, I think I was going to say fashion, but I don't know if that's going to be quite surprising. But I feel like fashion, if I can say, like, because I do feel like fashion is an artistic choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the way in which that you can look at what you can create with fashion, even on the album cover of No Peace, if you look, I'm in front of a projector, but the dress that I'm wearing is made out of craft paper. And like, I just had the idea, because I was thinking, like, I want to have some sort of representation of signs, like picket signs at a protest. And so I was thinking cardboard, but I'm like, okay, I can't really form cardboard to be something fitting to my body. So like, okay, brown craft paper where you could like actually write on it. And my mom helped me create like peplins on the side, like out of paper.
That's
it's
cool.
I think like fashion is like another like artistic avenue that I really look at and enjoy exploring.
And, hey, forgive me. I've got a bunch of people calling.
That's
my
old school. You got an answering machine going.
I know. What the? Hey, you never know. Eric Clapton may call.
Hey, you know what? This is what we learned. John Robinson is analog.
Well, until I go in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
that machine is that's the telephone equivalent of vinyl.
Shit. Hold on. I just got. It's like everybody's calling. There, now I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
And you know what? Her words were just so profound. I mean, obviously it's a 50-50 balance of dark and light, and artists such as yourself can bring that out. You said something. Light is just right around the corner, or light around the corner. It's a good start.
All right, that's a song we building.
There you go.
Oh man, you heard it here first.
Right, we're gonna have to come back and premiere.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll preview.
How much pressure do you feel to speak for your generation?
That's interesting. I think I say it's interesting only because I guess my mindset, I don't necessarily look at things from that lens. I think I more so look at like the blessing in it or the benefit. And I know that, the more you have, the more responsibility you also have. And I definitely can testify to that. I get that. But at the same time, I'm just reminded that this is what I asked for. When you go back to, okay, I can do this at 16 years old, and finding an audition on my 16th birthday, I think I chose then. Like, I was like, okay, whatever comes with this career, whatever comes with, the sacrifice, the time, the missed events, whatever it is, like, this is what I'm choosing to do because I feel called to do it. So as opposed to necessarily being like a pressure, I feel like it's more, if anything, it's a pressure that I put on myself. More so like an internal pressure than necessarily like an external pressure. But
you definitely seem to be more mindful of the responsibility than many artists care to be now. John, are there any artists that you can think of that you think Celeste should be collaborating with?
Ooh, that's very interesting. And, I think as time does travel, if the other artists, I was thinking obviously of singers, starting off with that aspect, but I could think of 20 right now. And I think as she writes and one thing I've noticed from me specifically is I can't necessarily write "Ain't Nobody" by myself. That was Hawk, you know. So you need to reach out to people, and if you start writing great hit records, you're gonna be your own entity, your own conglomeration. So I think as things go on, that's a great question. So I will put a list together. I mean, I could see her, writing with Nathan and maybe Michael Thompson and Paul's a great writer. Famous females, possibly. Like older female singers. Maybe I don't know how many male duets you've done with men yet.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So that's a great question, John.
Yeah.
Bringing up older female singers, I feel like there's an opportunity there to be reflective about the perspective of a little more wisdom, a little more youth, and looking at things that way. And then also an opportunity for an older female singer and songwriter and mirror of the times to kind of pass the torch. What say you about that?
You're talking about to me?
Yeah, either one of you, both of you.
Well, I mean, we just saw Dolly Parton. Another, I don't know how many specials she had on these last 2 weeks. Seems like a bunch of them. It's like everything was Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
But, she wrote "I Will Always Love You." And I'm going, this girl is a true talent. And she wrote that thing back when she was young. And, that means just one idea of the torch passing. I don't, not to be disrespectful to Beyonce, because she's obviously the most popular female singer in the world, but I am, is she writing hit records? And in my opinion, they're not message-based records. It's plug and play, and with a lot of candy. So anyway, what do you think, Celeste?
Oh, I do love Beyonce, so I'm not gonna come for the Beehive, but no, I do.
I love her too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I do feel that her songs aren't necessarily message based. Yeah, it's interesting though, because when you were talking about kind of like this torch passing, I think Beyonce is a good example, as she's training up Chloe and Halle. I feel like as you see them grow, they're kind of really stepping into that lane with their visuals, with their music, how they actually play and they songwrite and they kind of direct their vision. You can kind of see how she's kind of grooming them, I think, into that spot, and especially as they're not kind of doing a little bit more crossover. I think they started with like more R&B alternative, and now they're kind of really like crossing over to more of the commercial sound and different things. I think that there is a lot of opportunity and open door right now, just because, like you said, there are artists that I think are interested in helping like shift and mold and like pass kind of, I feel weird about like passing the baton, because I feel like the greats are the greats. Like I don't think that anyone could necessarily take that baton from them, but I think that there's like a lot of open door for artists to be like groomed and matured into those spaces, and I definitely would love for that to be the case for me as well, just because I think that it's such an interesting ballpark and industry, you know what I'm saying, and there's so many layers to it, so it'd be really helpful.
I wanted to jump in because Alex from Kenya has a question for you. And I don't always bring guests in, but if someone from Kenya checks in, and I believe he loves what you do specifically. So, and I'm going to slightly modify his question to make it more positive. But he says, if you could change anything in the music industry, what would it be? Let's just call this, what are the challenges before you where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this challenge in the music industry? What are those things that you see where like, this is an area where I'm going to need some help?
And that's
for Alex in Kenya.
No, yeah, you do it, Celeste.
Okay. Hi, Alex from Kenya. Thank you for being here. I think that for me, the biggest thing right now is just building a team. I think that because there's such a rise in like independent artists and kind of just a shift of where record labels are right now, I think there's an expectation that you have to have a lot of different assets and materials put together already. And I think that it's a hard place to be in if you're kind of like in the independent space, but your vision or what you're doing is more along the lines of what you see as like a commercial feel. And so I think just making sure that you're able to network and just put the pieces together in a way that is best reflective of you and your vision, but while also continuing to move forward, even if you don't have those pieces around you. I think that's like the biggest thing for me.
Right.
What a great answer.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, you know, I was going to challenge that question the same way and say, what are you working on, as opposed to what would you like to change in the music industry? Because whatever it is you'd like to change, you're going to change.
Right. Thank God.
That's just how it is.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I think as independent artists now, you kind of end up just picking up a lot of different skills and talents along the way, just because you kind of have to, especially with social media and just content being so much of a heavy focus. You have to learn how to be your video editor, and you have to learn how to do your photos and put the flyers together and have those calls and those conversations and how you lead a room. But then you also have to, you know, figure out how you're going to be on stage and your choreography and what your set's going to, you know, you just kind of end up picking up all of these different things that before I think it was more common for there to be multiple people in those roles kind of helping you put all of that together. And so, yeah, I feel like in the end, it's a benefit because then you know how to communicate those things. But I think it's also difficult because each of those are full-time jobs of their own.
Own discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's a very astute. And you know, in my position, you know, I just thought when I joined Rufus, I was an all-state singer in Iowa. You know, my whole quartet made it singing Brahms. So when I joined Rufus, I'm going, I'm not going to sing with her because she's so good. So I gave that up, and little did I know, you cut to today, we got to wear all these hats. You know, it's like me cutting a great drum track for somebody just isn't enough. Now they want me to videotape it, produce the video. Well, we didn't learn that at Berkeley.
Right. And it's interesting even now as we've kind of gone, you know, remote, where now it's like I can't even imagine with drums and having to mic so many different pieces and components. I mean, having to be your own engineer and to mix and do all of these different things. Like
that is the digital world, but then, you know, encompassing all these areas, just lighting yourself and like, oh God, because, you know, it's something that pisses me off more, and you two gentlemen know. You turn on any of these social platforms, and I see everybody can play a drum solo. It's like, damn, and I go, I just don't want to see this anymore. I mean, I'd rather hear you.
Yeah.
You know, as we round third base here, I just want to say that you may be the first vocalist who has acknowledged that it's a chore to mic the drum.
Wow.
Yes. I literally, every time I see that setup, I'm just like, wow.
We have to show up 2 hours before everybody else.
Yes. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would be beneficial for me to like start doing that just so like I could kind of like buff myself up a little bit, but I don't know how y'all do it. It's amazing to me.
Well, there's a lot of time left.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I just want to point all of our viewers and everyone who has a pair of ears to CelesteButler.com. Please bless your life and get to know the work of Celeste Butler, this wonderful artist with an amazing voice and so many more gifts. And she's going to be a powerhouse in all media, whichever ones she chooses, fashion and otherwise. Also, look for John Robinson on Trubify. Look for lessons, look for videos, look for the stuff that he's talking about that he hates watching, because he's going to make some for us because we love watching him do it. Also, a brand new function of that platform is you're going to be able to watch J.R. Robinson play the iconic licks that he's played for so many artists on so many records that we know and love. And maybe even get to play them back and
Oh.
submit them for feedback. That's all stuff that's in the works, but we're working on it also. Once again, CelesteButler.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for leading the charge. And whether you will acknowledge that you've taken the torch, it's not so much that you've taken the torch away from an older artist. The elder statesman will always be the elder statesman, and those of us who, develop our tastes will always look to them. But every once in a while, someone of a new generation has to hold up the mirror. I am happy to say and very pleased to say that I think that you're going to get your turn at holding up the mirror for everyone's betterment.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I truly, truly count it an honor and a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thanks.